Hey everyone, my name is Kunal Johar. I'm really excited to be here for your Association Tech Stack Virtual Demo Day. I'm with OpenWater, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about today's presentation. So today's presentation, it was pre-recorded just a few hours ago. I'm here in the United States. I'm in New York City, and I want it to be fresh. So with that, this is exclusive material. You could ask your questions as they come up during this presentation. I'll answer live. And then at the end of the session, I'll be available for live Q&A. I'll put my camera on. Maybe I'll have my OpenWater shirt. Maybe it'll be a new shirt. We'll have to find out. All right, let's get started. OpenWater is application and review software, which begs the question, what is application and review software? So let's take a look at a live example. This is a customer, aalas.org. It's a live website, and I'm continuing to be surprised that even in 2023, application and review remains a very manual process for the industry. So let's take a look at their website, and I wonder if organizations watching this right now have similar websites where they may be running an awards program, a fellowship, a scholarship, something that someone needs to fill out a form and apply to, and they provide instructions to their organization like this wall of text that AALAS has. So in this example here, if I want to submit to one of these awards programs, the first thing I need to do is read all of this text, find the appropriate nomination form from this list over here. As you can see here, there's quite a few. Once I get the right list, I then also need to figure out the right reference form from this list over here, assemble all of that, and then submit it to awards at aalas.org by April 4th. So I asked the question, what does April 4th look like at AALAS? Let's take a closer look. So here again, we have that wall of text and it says email the completed form as an attachment by April 4th. Find the right nomination form, then find the right reference form. And let's then take a further look. I've downloaded the nomination form as a PDF and I'm asked to fill it out. Here, I've put in as my preferred phone number something that looks like an email address, but it's not even a valid email address that has that greater than sign. In my email, I put phone number, and then you can only imagine as someone fills out an application form like this, they're just going to fill it out incorrectly. So on April 4th, the person running the organization might feel something like this emoji here, right? They're getting tons of emails from people that are not reading the rules. Emails are probably missing attachments that were required. You saw that list of reference forms. Perhaps the wrong reference form was used. And for sure, people are requesting extensions and they didn't even read the rules in the first place. So this could feel very frustrating. So that's the application side of what OpenWater helps with. But there's also review. So if you are that staff person that first has to deal with people filling out forms incorrectly, you then need to go back to people, get them filled out correctly, then consolidate that. Perhaps you're making packets that you then distribute to reviewers. And lo and behold, once they go to the reviewers, you're facing the same set of problems. Reviewers may be asked to score something on a score of 1 to 10, but they're providing feedback that doesn't really match what you need as the administrator to help compute scores and consolidate information. Of course, when deadlines come up, reviewers are also not very timely. They're also requesting extensions, and this process can become somewhat chaotic. So, how does OpenWater help with application and review? Everyone here can visit try.openwater.com, and we've made it easy for you to see what the experience is like for a submitter and for a reviewer without the need to create an account. So go ahead and visit that website after this presentation, but for today, I'll walk you through it quickly. So here's the experience for a submitter. We're going to pretend that we're submitting to a Restaurant of the Year award. You can see that I could put my information in, I can upload files, I can check boxes, and the system's going to stop me and make sure that everything I've submitted is accurate. Here I've submitted. We'll walk through the configuration of that shortly. For reviewers, I can see a seamless view of everything I've been assigned, and I'm forced to fill out a rubric. And similarly here, everything that the reviewer does is enforced, and they could review what they've done make edits, and continue along. So far, so good for the people that are submitting to your application process and for the reviewers. But what I'm here to share is that OpenWater is actually built for you. And by you, I mean the person that's administering the awards program or the fellowship, the scholarship, or the conference. OpenWater empowers you, the person running the workflow, to save your own time year over year by setting these workflows up yourself. What I mean by that is that you don't need an IT department to help set things up or even to make common changes. The typical user of OpenWater is the membership manager or the conference manager, and it can be set up in hours or days, not weeks or months. So let's take a look at what I mean by that. What we like to say is OpenWater is configuration, not code. And what you're looking at here is a drag and drop form builder. So if you want to set up a form and make changes, this is what it will look like. You want a new email field, add it in, put in a label, you're off to the races. You want a radio list with a variety of options, go ahead, drag it in, make the options. You can do this at any time in the process. And what we like to say with a lot of open water workflows is you'll know it's right when you see it. Sometimes you'll know it's right after you see it. And you, as the administrator, can go back and make these changes at any time. And the open water process will automatically rewire itself up. Confirmation pages are another area of configuration where you can quickly edit and set up what a person sees after they submit. Similarly, confirmation emails can go out and you can pull in any information that was collected in the application process and put it into the emails as placeholders. Similarly, OpenWater has a lot of automations that can help. So, in the example of reviewers that didn't complete their scores in a timely manner, or applicants that started an entry but didn't finish, you can configure an email, pull in placeholder variables from what was in their applications, and send an email blast to everyone to ask them to do something and help them along their process. OpenWater is deeply integrated with IMIS. And again, the IMIS integration is configuration, not code. So in this example, if you want to pull information in from someone's IMIS profile into an OpenWater form, this is what that panel may look like. So the configuration, not code, actually is a lot more extensive than I plan to cover in today's demo. But as you learn the system, you can do things like have branch logic so that if someone fills out a form a certain way, they're asked to answer additional questions or a different set of questions. OpenWater has a collaboration feature that allows multiple people to work at once on a submission. In the earlier AALAS example, we saw that people had to submit a letter of reference and pull from a form. OpenWater does allow for third parties to fill out references that can be blinded and hidden from the primary applicant and allow you as the administrator to collect everything all in one places. OpenWater ends the need of places like Dropbox or email attachments, as OpenWater can accept massive file uploads, including large video files up to 20 gigabytes in size. We know phrasing is important. OpenWater is used for a lot of workflows. So in some workflows, people may be called reviewers. In other workflows, they may be called judges. Maybe you have an awards scheme instead of an awards program, and OpenWater supports all of that phrasing. Sometimes you may want to collect a fee for applications. OpenWater has a very robust fee engine that allows for things like early bird pricing, late fee pricing, member-based pricing, non-member pricing, and much more. We can get really into the weeds, but just for a flavor of what else is possible, in one click, you can make rules that make submissions eligible and ineligible depending on how they were filled out. For example, if you have a Young Professionals Award and you're asking for their age, it could let someone know right away that you are ineligible due to this reason. You could generate custom receipts and PDFs from OpenWater, and you can also make the review process blinded just with a few clicks. You can hide and show information to reviewers. An example of that may be you don't want to show someone's name, you only want to show what they've worked on. That way, the reviewer doesn't have as much bias going into the process. So OpenWater can be set up in minutes and hours for a lot of workflows, but if I leave you with one thing here today, OpenWater is the best conference abstract manager available to associations and professional societies. And again, all of that is configuration without code. So let's dive into that as well. So here, if you are the conference abstract manager, you can build your call for papers or call for posters or call for sessions in a matter of minutes. OpenWater supports just about everything you would need for a call for papers, including scientific or Greek characters, multiple tracks, ability to submit in multiple formats, keywords, co-authors, travel grants, agreements, and disclosures. Similarly, you can do all of your conference review within OpenWater. Here is where you can use features like the blinding of information so that abstracts are reviewed on their own merit. A reviewer doesn't need to leave the system to view PDFs, images, or videos, and you can have a completely custom rubric to collect objective and subjective feedback on each of the reviews. OpenWater allows for multiple stages of reviews out of the box, so perhaps you have a first round of review to find out what's generally good for your conference, and then a second round of review to find out the best of the best if you to place your limited speaking presentation slots versus maybe a variety of poster sessions. OpenWater has a feature known as a collaborative session builder, and this is great for conferences that have a lot of abstracts that are then assembled into a session, and you have session chairs that can be responsible for organizing the order at which abstracts are presented, how much time is given to them, and you could add things like breaks and discussants. Once you collect all of the information in OpenWater, including all of the authors, OpenWater has a drag and drop scheduler to allow you to place the sessions onto the calendar into rooms and time slots. And in real time, OpenWater will show you if there's conflicts. For example, if the same speaker is speaking in two rooms at the same time, you can take a look at that and help reorder the agenda. OpenWater also has an automatic program generator, so you don't need a separate website or a third-party tool. OpenWater can take the abstracts that were collected and accepted and these time slots that they were placed in, and from there you can generate a online gallery where people can mark their favorites, view the overall schedule, go deep and view a specific session. Also, if there's posters or videos, those can be displayed. Again, all this is out of the box, completely configurable. If you didn't want to use the OpenWater automatic program, there's also an integration with IMIS EMS, the events module. In one click, all of the abstracts information and schedule information can populate a program within IMIS. So it's really great that no IT person is needed to manage and administer your conference, awards, fellowships, and scholarships workflows. But we know IT people are very valuable, and when they can spend some time in a platform, we hope that they can supercharge what you're able to do with OpenWater. So all I've shown you so far is stuff you can do in OpenWater by yourself without an IT person. But if you are an IT person listening to this, or if you're excited on what you've seen so far, what I'm going to share with you now is how IT people have pushed the limit of OpenWater with a little bit of scripting knowledge. So let's take a look at some cool things IT people have done with OpenWater in a matter of minutes. So this first example is pulling from an IMIS IQA into OpenWater to pre-fill a variety of information. A great example of this is if you're running a conference abstract and you want to allow people to pull co-authors, but the co-authors have to be registered for the conference. This can be done completely without code, but the knowledge needed to build an IQA and IMIS and to tie it into OpenWater does require a little bit more of an IT mind. Is not just point and click, it's point and click and a little bit of extra configuration. Similarly, an IQA can also be used to validate eligibility status right on a form. So an example could be if a member is required to be a letter of reference, OpenWater can check against an IQA to make sure the referee is someone that is actually an existing member. This could be based on any status, could be their member ID, could be any information you have, maybe a certification or that they're on a committee. But again, this is helpful so that as someone is filling out a form, they can quickly validate and make sure third parties are in the right status before they're adding them. All of the data captured in OpenWater flows back into IMIS EMS into custom panels. So no data silos. You can do cross-reporting in IMIS with all the information collected in OpenWater. OpenWater's forms have a built-in CSS and styling rules configuration panel. And some of the things you can do with that are styling like grid styling. So this is just one example of how CSS can be used in OpenWater to create forms that are styled in a more intuitive manner depending on a specific workflow. It also has a JavaScript API, and one example of how that's used is for computed fields. So if someone, for example, is filling out a budget, you want to compute something, or if you're trying to compute percentages, OpenWater allows for that pretty easily. That PDF engine I talked about earlier is fully configurable. So here you see an example of a beer competition we ran where someone had to submit their physical beer into a warehouse. And in order to tie it back to the open water submission, a barcode was essential. So kind of cool. I don't know how relevant this is to everyone, but just want to show you the flexibility of the platform. Another area is custom coloring for judges. So maybe you want to highlight certain things. Maybe there's a DEI initiative, or maybe there's a climate initiative. So organizations that are following those patterns, maybe you want to highlight to judges to take a look at that. Something we don't talk about a whole lot is that OpenWater does include a full website engine in it. And while most organizations are going to be using IMIS Rise as their website, sometimes they have a fellowship, a scholarship, or an award that's almost its own brand. And it's helpful to have a microsite around that particular brand. So in this example, we have the Sophie Awards, which is part of the Specialty Foods Organization. And the Specialty Foods Association has their own website, but they also wanted a special look and feel and brand for the Sophie Awards, and they're able to implement that within OpenWater. So all of these examples of how OpenWater can be used to supercharge the workflow of IT professionals, and also how the day-to-day of conference administrators, awards managers, scholarship managers can be made a bit easier. Let's dive in and let's conclude with a couple of customer examples. Of note, I'm the co-founder of OpenWater. We've been around about 12 years, and since day one, we've been working predominantly with associations and professional societies. And hopefully by now you can tell a lot of these features and use cases have been designed with your specific needs in mind. So with that said, let's conclude on a couple of cool things customers have done. For those customers that are using IMIS, you may have taken a look at the IMIS Marketplace, which is using the open water gallery technology, similar to what I'm talking about with regards to an online program for conferences, to help display various partners and add-ons to IMIS in what's considered a marketplace or a buyer's guide. Some organizations are using OpenWater for a lot of use cases and realize that for getting approvals for small requests from third parties, for example, in this case, they had a coaching fund for volunteers and they just wanted to use OpenWater to help collect reimbursement information, a couple of PDFs, and let people get on their way without the need for massive expense tracking software. Another example is a visa invitation request. These are people that are coming to a conference that need to fill out a variety of information separate from their abstract, and it's reviewed by a separate team. OpenWater also has a built-in balloting system. So if you're running a app challenge, in case you went to IMIS Innovations and you saw that, or you're running like a committee nomination where you need to vote on various candidates, OpenWater has tooling to allow for balloting, and then also built-in reporting to do automatic tabulation and showing you information in bar charts and pie charts. So in conclusion, OpenWater is great for the awards manager and conference manager to build and maintain their own workflows without adding burden to the IT department. I really hope I leave you with that OpenWater is easy to learn, easy to make changes. It works well with IMIS 2017. So if you're on an older system looking to upgrade but don't have the time now to upgrade, you can get a lot of the advantages now by using OpenWater, and then later on when you upgrade to EMS, get even more benefits without added cost. OpenWater is great for the casual administrator, but if you are an IT person or have some scripting knowledge, you can really supercharge it. And then with regards to cost, most organizations that use OpenWater budget around 12 to 15K Australian dollars. Some organizations spend less if they have really small needs. Some organizations may spend a bit more. And then setup is optional, but there could be a setup fee depending on your workflow if you chose not to necessarily learn the system yourself at the get-go. So with that, I'll put my camera on and I'm excited to find out what questions haven't been asked live so I can dive into those. Thank you.